It's always a rumor that fuels the mob, often aided by social media. As the police effect several arrests in the lynching of 2 young men in Assam, we look at the real-life consequences of WhatsApp rumors and fake news. An Indian housemaid in Oman jumps off her employer's apartment to escape torture, is paralyzed from waist down. We focus on the abuse and exploitation of migrant domestic workers in the Gulf. They've used colorful language to describe each other in the past. Now US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un are sitting down to talk. It's Tuesday, June 12th. Multiple arrests have taken place in connection with the lynching of 2 young men in central Assam's Karbi Anglong district. This includes that of a teenager over fake news about child kidnappers on social media. The mob, police say, suspected the 2 young men of being child abductors. WhatsApp and other social media-driven rumors have led to many such crimes. WhatsApp, that has 200 million users in India, has emerged as the dominant medium for the spread of fake news. End-to-end encryption makes it impossible to track the origin or the trajectory of rumors. Remember the story circulated post-demonetization on the redesigned 2,000 rupee notes being embedded with a nano GPS chip to track down potential black money offenders? It even made its way to the mainstream media. The Reserve Bank of India was forced to weigh in to dismiss it as a figment of somebody's imagination. But particularly for people in semi-urban and rural areas, their window to the internet is often their WhatsApp inbox. With it comes this deluge of seemingly authentic information. And, as Pratik Sinha, founder of Alt News, the website that debunks fake news stories, says,
unfortunately, internet doesn't come with a handbook. If you buy a new product, electronic equipment, then it often comes with a handbook, but internet doesn't come with a handbook. But now you have access, while it is enormously empowering, you have access to so much information, but you have, a lot of people neither have the education nor have access to tools to verify, what they're watching, reading is correct or not, whether it is genuine or not.
In December last year, this man, Shambhulal Regar, hacked a migrant labourer to death and got his nephew to film it. He justified that horrific crime as revenge for love jihad. Multiple news reports detailed how people in that area were being subjected to hate propaganda via social media. Law enforcement authorities in many states have been urging people not to believe in rumors spread on social media, but are often at their wits' end in battling these rumors that have many times fatal consequences. The go-to response in most cases has been the heavy-handed one of imposing internet shutdowns. According to a website that tracks shutdowns, India has seen 60 of them just this year. Between January 2016 and September 2017, there were 116 internet shutdowns globally. Almost half of them came from India. On May 4th, Shrija Das jumped from the second floor of an apartment in Muscat, Oman, where she worked as a housemaid, allegedly to escape torture at the hands of her employer. The 38-year-old, a resident of Kerala, broke her spine and legs in the fall, which left her paralyzed from the waist down. Shrija's story is a flashback to the ordeal faced by 58-year-old Kasturi Munirathinam, a woman from Vellore in Tamil Nadu who worked as a maid in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In 2015, her employer chopped off her right arm for complaining about work conditions and trying to flee the house. There are an estimated 5 lakh Indian women working as maids in the 6 Gulf Cooperation Council countries of Oman, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates. Shrija Das and Munirathinam are by no means the only ones to have complained of ill treatment and torture by their employer. Activists say many more cases go unreported as the victims do not register complaints for fear of losing their earnings, sometimes even their lives. Shrija says she was promised 50 Omani riyals a month by her employer, a police officer, but did not receive any of it. Her husband says Shrija was tortured every day. Srija's ordeal has also raised questions about the Indian rules governing the employment of housemaids in foreign countries, including in the Gulf. In 2011, the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs laid down certain conditions for foreign employers hiring maids from India. For instance, the employer would have to earn over $2,600 per month and provide a bank guarantee of $2,850 to the Indian embassy in their country. This would act as a security deposit and be used for any unpaid dues, salary, and legal obligations. The ministry fixed the minimum monthly salary at $280. It also said the sponsor would have to provide free food, accommodation, a mobile phone with a prepaid SIM card, and airfare to visit India every year. The government last year did away with the bank guarantee requirement for employers from 18 countries, including the Gulf nations. A Human Rights Watch report says Oman's immigrant labor system and lack of labor law protections leave the country's female migrant domestic workers exposed to abuse and exploitation by employers whose consent they need to change jobs. Those who flee abuse, including beatings, sexual abuse, unpaid wages, and excessive working hours, have few avenues for redress and can face legal penalties for absconding. Human Rights Watch documented abuse and exploitation of domestic workers, including employers frequently confiscating workers' passports despite a legal prohibition, not paying workers their salaries, forcing them to work excessively long hours without breaks, and denying them adequate food and living conditions. In some cases, workers reported physical and sexual abuse. It will be the first ever meeting between a sitting US president and a North Korean leader. Sentosa, a tourist island off the Singapore mainland, is playing host for the historic summit. The summit comes after this historic embrace at the border between North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in. That meeting resulted in a vow to denuclearize the Korean peninsula. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had vowed to shut down the country's nuclear test site in May and open the process to experts and journalists from South Korea and the United States. But skeptics say North Korea has signed denuclearization agreements in the past, in 1992, in 1994, 2005 and 2012, and has not abided by any. But there are enough differences this time, the Washington Post had argued, chiefly that 34-year-old Kim Jong-un is a very different leader from his father. The BBC had called North Korea's decision to open for inspection the shutting down of the nuclear test site another significant and symbolic step by Kim Jong-un. Now, what is expected in this meeting between Trump and Kim? American officials, it is reported, have sought to manage expectations, saying the landmark summit will be the start of a process rather than the final stage of a deal. In the lead up to today's summit, diplomats from the two countries were engaged in last-minute negotiations. It'll be interesting to see how the two leaders interact when they meet, given the many barbs they have traded over the last many months. Kim Jong-un, for instance, had called Trump a deranged dotard. Yeah, I had to check the dictionary for the meaning too. Dotard means a state or period of senile decay marked by the decline of mental poise. Well, Trump returned the compliment, calling the North Korean dictator a maniac, among other unmentionables. Meanwhile, over the weekend in South Korea, close to 30,000 women marched to Seoul in protest of spy camp porn, or Malka, chanting, "I am not Korean porn." The phenomenon of Malka has become rampant in South Korea, with women at constant fear of being filmed without consent in public toilets, malls, buses, crowded trains. Protesters allege police bias in favor of men who film and watch Malka. Malka, or hidden cameras in cigarette packets, Malka in water bottles, Malka in car keys, Malka in eyeglasses, restrict Malka sales, and other slogan went. The women marched with their faces covered with masks, paint or digital prints to prevent cyberbullying or targeting by men. Saturday's rally is the second time in 2 months that women have hit the streets to protest the impunity of the perpetrators of such crimes and urge the law mechanism to take stronger and quicker action. And before we leave, former Pakistan cricket captain Shahid Afridi couldn't help taking to Twitter to flaunt what appears to be his pet lion. We aren't joking. These tweets, posted by Afridi with the happy tag, "Don't forget to take care of animals, they too deserve our love and care," have inspired both jokes and outrage from Twitterati protesting against the domestication of a wild animal. All we're wondering is what happens if the rope snaps. Imagine that. We'll see you here tomorrow.